You ever notice how the wealthiest people in the room often speak the least? It's not because they don't have anything to say, it's because they know the cost of careless words. There are things millionaires will never say out loud, not to their friends, not to their coworkers, not even to themselves. And it's not because they're being secretive. It's because these phrases are silent wealth killers. If you've ever wondered why some people build empires while others just dream about it, the answer often lies in what they don't say. In this video, we're pulling back the curtain on the mindset of self-made millionaires. Not the flashy stuff, not the fake gurus. We're talking about the real habits, the unspoken rules, and the silent language of the rich. Because here's the truth, wealth isn't just about money. It's about how you think, how you speak, and even what you choose to never say. So if you're on a mission to become financially free, you're in the right place. These 8 phrases may sound innocent on the surface, but they silently sabotage your potential. Millionaires avoid them for a reason, and after today, you will too. Number 1, that's not my job. You'll never hear a millionaire say this, not because they love doing everything, but because they understand the value of ownership. See, when you say, that's not my job, what you're really saying is, I'm not willing to grow beyond my current role. That phrase creates an invisible wall between where you are and where you could be. Millionaires don't draw those lines. Instead, they look at problems as opportunities. They jump into challenges that aren't theirs because that's where the most growth and the most money is hiding. If you're working at a startup and you say, that's not my job, you've already disqualified yourself from leadership. But if you lean in, solve a problem, take initiative, you become valuable. And value is what the market rewards. Think about the difference in mindset. An average employee protects their time and energy by staying in their lane. A future millionaire expands their lane until they own the road. You'll find them asking, how can I help? Or, what else can I take off your plate? And that's exactly how promotions happen. That's how businesses are built. That's how new skill sets are learned without paying for a course or a coach. You might start out doing things no one notices. But over time, that invisible work compounds, just like money does. And eventually someone notices. Or better yet, you notice that you've outgrown your current position. That's when you realize refusing to say, that's not my job, was the first millionaire decision you ever made. It's not about being a doormat. It's about thinking like an owner, not an employee. Because millionaires don't wait for permission. They create their own promotions. Number 2, I already know that. This one is sneaky. It sounds like confidence, but it's actually ego in disguise. Saying, I already know that, is a fast way to shut the door on learning, and millionaires never shut that door. They know that the moment you think you've arrived, you've actually stopped growing. You'll notice something interesting about people who are truly successful. They ask questions. Even if they've built 5 businesses, they'll still sit in on a seminar, still read books they've already read, still listen to a beginner's perspective. Why? Because every single time they walk away with one new insight, and sometimes that insight is worth millions. Now let's contrast that with the average person. The average person hears advice, and instead of applying it, they say, yeah, I already know that. But here's the thing, knowing isn't doing. You can know how to invest in index funds, but if you're not putting money in every month, do you really know? You can know that networking is powerful, but if you're not building relationships daily, what good is that knowledge? Millionaires treat knowledge like currency. They respect it, stack it, and put it to use. And they never let their ego block the deposit. Even if they hear the same advice 10 times, they listen like it's the first. Because this time, they might catch the part they missed before. They know that repetition is what turns knowledge into action and action into wealth. There's also humility in this mindset. The richest people in the world are often the most curious. They sit in the front row. They take notes. They ask follow-up questions. They don't assume they've got it all figured out, and that's why they keep leveling up. Saying, I already know that, is like slamming the brakes on your financial growth. Millionaires? They keep the engine running, the windows down, and the map open, always searching, always learning, always ready to level up. Number 3, I can't afford it. At first glance, this phrase might sound responsible, even practical. But millionaires don't say, I can't afford it. Instead, they ask, how can I afford it? Because one shuts down the mind, the other activates it. Saying, I can't afford it, creates a mental block. It makes your brain stop looking for options. It's like slamming a door shut on possibility. Millionaires understand that money isn't just about what you have in the bank right now. It's about how resourceful you are, how creative you're willing to get, and what you're willing to do to change your situation. Let's say there's a $5,000 course that could potentially change your business forever. The average person might say, I can't afford it, and walk away. But a future millionaire starts asking better questions. Can I trade services for access? Can I break the payment into monthly installments? Can I find free alternatives, take action, and earn enough to buy the full version later? The question isn't about whether you can or can't. It's about whether you'll find a way. That's the mindset difference. When Elon Musk was broke, he didn't say, I can't afford to start a rocket company. He started asking, how can I build rockets cheaper? And the answers built SpaceX. Of course, this doesn't mean you should recklessly spend money you don't have, but there's a difference between being reckless and being relentless. One gives up at the first obstacle. The other looks for a dozen ways around it. Millionaires rewire their language. They never use their bank balance as an excuse to stop growing. They use it as motivation to get creative, to move smarter, and to stay hungry. So next time your brain wants to say, I can't afford it, catch yourself. Ask, how could I afford it if I had to? That small shift changes everything. It opens the door, and sometimes that door leads to a completely different life. Number 4, that's impossible. The moment you say that's impossible, your brain believes it. That's why millionaires never let those words escape their lips, because deep down they know, impossible is just an opinion, not a fact. Let's rewind to any major innovation in history. The electric car? Impossible. Online shopping? Impossible. Flying across the world in hours? Laughably impossible. Until it wasn't. Millionaires live in the space between impossible and inevitable. They know every breakthrough starts with a crazy idea someone else didn't believe in. You'll often hear rich people say things like, what would it take to make this happen? Or, let's find a way. Because they don't approach problems with a fixed mindset. They attack them with flexibility. That's how breakthroughs happen. That's how million-dollar ideas are born. Not from certainty, but from curiosity. Average minds accept limits. Millionaire minds test them. They understand that what feels impossible now is usually just unexplored territory. They don't fear the unknown. They study it. They take it apart. They ask questions no one else is asking. Think about the Wright brothers building a flying machine in a bicycle shop. Everyone said it was impossible until the day it flew. That's how millionaires treat big goals. A challenge? Sure, but not impossible. Even in personal finances, this mindset applies. Say you're drowning in debt. Most people might say, it's impossible to get out. Millionaires would ask, what's my strategy to turn this around in the next 18 months? That's not delusion, that's direction. They understand that impossible is just a story, and stories can be rewritten. They don't wait for permission from the world to dream bigger. They decide what's possible, then go out and prove it. Number 5, that's not fair. You won't catch a true millionaire complaining about fairness. Not because the world is fair, but because they know dwelling on that idea won't make them rich. That's not fair is a phrase built on emotion, not execution. It's a statement that points fingers outward instead of turning the focus inward. Millionaires understand that the game of life, of business, of money, it's not played on a level field. Some people start with more, others start with less. Some get lucky breaks, others get slammed with obstacles. But here's the thing, the market doesn't care about fair. It cares about value. Bring enough value to the table, and the market rewards you, no matter where you started. Now, of course, it's frustrating to see someone else win when you've worked just as hard, but millionaires don't stop to stew in bitterness. They don't protest the unfairness. They outgrow it. They think, okay, that door closed. What other door can I break open? It's the mindset of control. When you say that's not fair, you give away your power. But when you say, let's figure this out anyway, you reclaim it. A young entrepreneur might notice that big companies get better rates, more access, more attention. They could say, "That's not fair," and quit. Or they could say, "Let me leverage my small size as speed and flexibility. Let me build relationships they don't have time for." That shift in focus from complaint to creativity is the millionaire's secret weapon. Also, fairness is subjective. The playing field that seems unfair today might be tilted in your favor tomorrow. Timing changes everything. What looks like a disadvantage now may become your biggest strength later. If you keep moving, you can waste a lifetime waiting for fair, or you can build a life that works for you, no matter the conditions. Millionaires choose the second path. They don't wait for fairness. They engineer advantage. Number 6, that's not how it's done. This one kills more dreams than failure ever will. "That's not how it's done" is the anthem of the status quo. It's the voice of tradition, of comfort zones, of people who've stopped innovating. Millionaires, on the other hand, they live to challenge how things are done, because every big success story, every unicorn startup, disruptive company, or unexpected breakthrough started with someone asking, "But what if we did it this way instead?" Imagine if Airbnb had said, "People don't let strangers stay in their homes. That's not how it's done." Or if Elon Musk had said, "Electric cars aren't practical. That's not how it's done." We'd still be booking hotel rooms on travel sites from 2004 and driving gas guzzlers. But someone had the courage to break the pattern. Millionaires don't idolize tradition. They analyze it. They respect what works, but they're not afraid to question it. They ask, "Is this the best way or just the oldest way? Could there be a smarter, faster, cheaper path?" This mindset applies to money too. Most people follow outdated advice. Get a job, save 10%, retire at 65. Millionaires ask, "What if I invest earlier? What if I create multiple income streams? What if I don't want to retire at all, but live fully now?" The phrase, "That's not how it's done," assumes there's only one correct way. But in reality, there are dozens. Maybe your way hasn't been tried yet. Maybe the world's just waiting for someone bold enough to prove it works. Millionaires know that trailblazers never wait for permission. They experiment, they test, they fail and try again. And sometimes in breaking the rules, they end up rewriting them. Number 7, that's not my job. This is a phrase that never leaves the mouth of a millionaire. Not because they don't have roles and responsibilities, but because they understand one truth. Ownership creates opportunity. "That's not my job" is a sentence rooted in limitation. It draws a line in the sand and says, "I'll only do what I'm told." But millionaires don't play within lines. They paint their own. They look at problems, even ones outside their role, and ask, "How can I solve this? How can I make myself invaluable?" Think about any rising entrepreneur or self-made millionaire. In the early stages, they wore every hat: customer service, marketing, accounting, strategy, sales, tech support. Not because they wanted to, but because they had to. And by doing that, they gained an understanding of their business that no one else could match. Even later in life, this attitude sticks. Millionaires don't dismiss a challenge just because it wasn't in the original plan. They lean into it. They know that the ability to solve any problem, not just their problem, is what makes them irreplaceable. Let's say you're an employee at a startup and you notice a broken process in another department. You could say, "Not my job," or you could fix it, streamline it, and save the company time and money. Guess who gets noticed, promoted, trusted with more? It's never the one who stayed in their lane. It's the one who widened it. This mindset extends to finances too. Millionaires don't say, "Managing money isn't my thing." They learn, they study, they take responsibility for understanding wealth, because handing that power to someone else is a recipe for disaster. When you drop the words, "That's not my job," from your vocabulary, you signal something powerful. You are a leader in disguise, not someone who waits for instructions, but someone who creates solutions. And that's the exact type of person wealth flows to. Number 8, I already know that. This one may be the most dangerous of all. The phrase, "I already know that," shuts down growth instantly. It tricks you into thinking you've mastered something when, in reality, you've only touched the surface. Millionaires are obsessed with mastery. They don't chase novelty for novelty's sake. They go deeper into what works. They know that repetition is the mother of skill, and that every time you revisit an idea, you might uncover a nuance you missed before. I already know that. It's what the ego says when it wants to sound smart. Millionaires silence that ego and replace it with curiosity. Even if they've read a book 3 times, they'll read it again. Not because they forgot, but because they remembered how valuable it was the first time. Let's say someone tells you you should pay yourself first. It sounds simple. Maybe you nod and say, yeah, I already know that. But knowing isn't the same as doing. Are you actually doing it? Are you doing it consistently? Are you investing that money where it compounds, or is it sitting idle? Millionaires don't need new tricks. They need sharp execution. That's why they revisit foundational principles again and again. They treat simple concepts with the same respect as complex strategies. Warren Buffett, one of the richest men alive, still reads for 5 to 6 hours a day. Do you think he's stumbling across ideas he's never heard before? Rarely. But he's deepening his understanding, refining his edge, sharpening what already works. So when you catch yourself thinking, I already know that, pause. Ask instead, am I living this? Am I doing this at the highest level possible? If not, it's time to listen again, learn again, and level up. Because millionaires know growth is in the repetition, not the resistance.